The story begins 6 days after the tragic death of Dr. Rose Cotter, a psychologist who faced a terrifying curse in the first film. Rose's struggle with the entity was horrifying, and her desperate attempts to survive ended in tragedy. The curse, which feeds on fear and trauma, claimed her life, leaving behind her boyfriend, Joel. Joel is a police officer who loved Rose deeply, and now finds himself carrying the terrible curse she could not escape. Joel is haunted by guilt over Rose's death and the curse now consuming him. He knows the curse is relentless, feeding on his pain and fear, and he grows more desperate with each passing day. Determined to break free, Joel comes up with a dangerous plan. He believes the only way to rid himself of the curse is to pass it to someone else, but doing so would require someone to witness a violent death caused by the entity. Joel targets 2 criminals, planning to orchestrate their deaths, so one of them would inherit the curse. However, Joel's plan goes terribly wrong. A chaotic shootout erupts, and both criminals are killed before the curse can transfer to either of them. Joel feels defeated and hopeless, but what he doesn't know is that there was another witness. A drug dealer named Louis Fragoli, who was hiding nearby, saw the entire scene unfold. Without realizing it, Louis becomes the new target of the curse. Still unaware of what has happened, Joel tries to flee. He believes he can outrun the curse if he leaves town, but his escape is cut short when he is struck and killed by a speeding truck. The brutal and unexpected nature of his death sets the tone for the rest of the story. The curse is merciless, and no one who carries it can escape. The focus shifts to Sky Riley, a famous pop star known around the world for her talent and glamorous lifestyle. Sky has been out of the spotlight for a year, following a devastating car accident that killed her boyfriend, Paul Hudson. The accident left her physically injured and emotionally broken. To make matters worse, Sky's struggles with substance abuse became public, damaging her reputation. Now, she is trying to make a comeback, determined to reclaim her place as a superstar. In public, Sky appears confident and strong. She gives interviews and attends events, portraying an image of recovery and resilience. One of her most high-profile appearances is on The Drew Barrymore Show, where she speaks about overcoming challenges and finding strength after tragedy. But behind closed doors, Sky is far from okay. She is still battling her addiction, secretly taking painkillers to cope with the physical and emotional toll of her demanding career. Sky's life is tightly controlled by her assistant, Joshua, and her mother, Elizabeth, who also acts as her manager. Elizabeth is strict and controlling, constantly pushing Sky to stay on schedule and maintain her image. The pressure from her mother only adds to Sky's stress, making her feel trapped and isolated. When rehearsals for her comeback tour become too physically demanding, Sky decides to reach out to Louis, an old friend from school, to buy painkillers. Sky visits Louis at his apartment, hoping for a quick transaction. But what she doesn't know is that Louis has been cursed by the same entity that haunted Joel and Rose. When she arrives, she finds Louis acting strangely. He seems terrified and paranoid, muttering to himself about being followed. Before Sky can leave, the curse strikes. She witnesses in horror as Louis smiles unnaturally, then smashes his own face with a heavy barbell plate. After witnessing Louis's death, Sky begins to experience strange and terrifying events. She starts seeing smiling faces everywhere, in mirrors, in crowds, and even in her dreams. These hallucinations become more vivid and disturbing, making her question her sanity. Sky tries to confide in her estranged friend, Gemma, hoping for support and understanding. But even as she seeks comfort, Sky's paranoia grows. She feels like she's being watched and followed by something she cannot escape. One night, Sky receives a mysterious text message from an unknown number. The message warns her that she is in danger and reveals details about her visit to Louis's apartment. The sender seems to know everything about her, adding to her fear and confusion. At a high-profile charity event, hosted by music executive Darius, the curse begins to take a stronger hold on her. On stage, Sky sees the teleprompter malfunctioning, and decides to deliver an impromptu speech. Her words become erratic as she talks about the emptiness of fame and her struggles with life. The audience is shocked, and the event takes an even darker turn when Skye hallucinates Paul's smiling face in the crowd. In a panic, she lashes out, injuring an elderly guest on stage. The incident becomes a public spectacle, further damaging her reputation. Desperate for answers, Skye seeks out Morris, a man who has been studying the curse ever since his brother fell victim to it. Morris explains that the curse feeds on trauma and spreads by forcing people to witness violent deaths. He believes the entity is like a parasite, relying on its host to survive. Morris suggests a drastic solution: stopping Skye's heart temporarily to sever the connection with the entity. Skye is horrified by the idea and refuses to take such a dangerous risk. Their conversation ends on a tense note when a fan recognizes Skye at the bar, forcing her to leave abruptly. Despite rejecting Morris's plan, his warnings stay with her, fueling her growing fear. Back at her apartment, Skye's mental state continues to deteriorate. The entity becomes more aggressive, appearing in increasingly terrifying ways. One night, she sees her backup dancers performing a distorted, nightmarish choreography in her living room. The lines between reality and hallucination blur as Skye tries to escape. She is attacked by an invisible force that pins her to the ground, choking her and forcing a monstrous arm down her throat. The attack leaves her unconscious and deeply shaken. In a flashback, the film reveals the truth about the night of Paul's death. Skye recalls that she caused the car accident intentionally during a heated argument with Paul. Both of them were under the influence of drugs, and Skye's guilt over his death becomes another point of vulnerability for the curse to exploit. This moment ties her past trauma to the entity's power, showing how it feeds on guilt and pain. Later, Skye travels to a remote retreat, hoping to find peace and clarity. Instead, she confronts Elizabeth about the relentless pressure of her comeback tour. The argument quickly takes a sinister turn when Elizabeth's behavior changes. She begins smiling eerily and smashes a mirror, then stabs herself repeatedly with a shard of glass. Skye, horrified, realizes too late that the entity is manipulating her again. In her panic, she discovers that she has accidentally killed her own mother, another cruel trick by the curse. With nowhere else to turn, Skye reaches out to Morris one last time. Together, they come up with a new plan. They decide to use a walk-in freezer at a Pizza Hut to slow her bodily functions and stop her heart long enough to break the curse. However, the entity strikes before they can complete their plan. It takes on the form of a twisted version of Skye from the night of the car accident. In the struggle that follows, Skye injects herself with a sedative to stop her heart, but the entity mocks her attempt. It traps her in a horrifying contraption, resembling a rib cage, taunting her with cruel words. The story reaches its climax during Skye's highly anticipated performance at Herald Square Garden. On the surface, she appears confident and ready, but internally, she is fighting a losing battle. The entity reveals its true form on stage, a grotesque, skinless creature with multiple smiling mouths. Skye is powerless to resist, as the entity tears her mouth open and crawls inside her body. To the audience, it looks as though Skye chokes and collapses mid-performance. Moments later, she rises, possessed by the entity, and stabs herself in the eye with her microphone. The horrifying scene leaves thousands of fans in shock. As Skye's lifeless body falls to the stage, the film ends with a chilling reminder of the entity's triumph and its unending hunger for new victims.